we're going to repair the broken hinge on an original Nintendo DS. On this unit, the lower inner shell has broken, and we are going to replace that. With the Nintendo DS, you can replace the upper half of the shell or the lower half of the shell by itself without having to remove the entire unit and completely disassemble it. So we're going to flip it over, remove the battery cover, and you're going to need a set of tools for this. You're going to need a small Phillips head screwdriver. You're going to need a tri-wing screwdriver. In some cases you'll need a small flathead if you need to pry anything open. A pair of tweezers and an X-Acto blade. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the battery cover and remove the battery. And on the bottom of the unit there are a total of 7 tri-wing screws. You have 2 on each side, 1 in the lower center, and 2 up here at the top. So go ahead and remove those screws. And it's always a good idea to keep your screws organized so when you're putting everything together you don't have to dig through and you don't wind up with a screw being in the wrong place. You can use double-sided tape, or we have a small multi-bin tray here that we like to use. And we have one more screw. Alright, and the bottom will just pull straight off of the unit. Oop, we forgot one. So you just pull the bottom straight off of the unit. And now we have the motherboard exposed. And on the motherboard you have a total of 4 screws holding it in. You have one here, 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 and up here under the game slot. So we're going to go ahead and remove all 4 screws. So that we can remove the motherboard. To fix this, you do have to purchase a new shell kit. You can either change out the entire shell if you'd like to, and we can cover the top half in another video. But one thing important to remember, whenever you order a new shell, if it comes with a new set of screws, you want to use those screws because they can be of a different size and the shell could use a different size set of screws. So now you're going to want to disconnect the antenna and lay that to the side. And lift the motherboard up slightly to remove the left and right shoulder buttons. There is a spring that comes with them. It's very simple. It just goes right back on the unit. Now that we have the motherboard removed, you have your upper LCD ribbon cable clip here. So you're going to want to just lift the clip. You can either use your fingernail or the small screwdriver. And then you're going to pull against the ribbon cable, and you want to be careful. The ribbon cables can tear and crimp easily. So once you have that removed, we can go ahead lift up the lower half of the unit and push in from the touch screen to go ahead and lay the motherboard over. Now on the back of your LCD is the ribbon cable. Is actually, let me go ahead and disassemble the motherboard from the LCD. Same here, you have a ribbon cable clip. You're going to pull that and gently just wiggle that out. Looks like the touchscreen clip came out with it. And you have a little slider there. So we're going to go ahead and slide out the other side and pull that cable loose. And we could just lift the motherboard completely off and set it to the side. And right here, looks like this unit's been worked on before. If it has it, underneath of this insulation is where the ribbon cable runs, and it's attached to the lower LCD. So you'll want to use your X-Acto blade and cut alongside of the ribbon cable. You don't want to cut the ribbon cable itself, and you'll be able to peel it off. So once you peel this back, inside of the lower half, you're going to have another Phillips head screw right here, and this holds a door unit right here. So we're going to go ahead, remove this screw and set that to the side. And we can go ahead and pull off the top cover. Now, being as you don't have to completely disassemble the unit, you do need to remove the top half of the upper unit to pull out these hinges here, so that way you can insert the new board and get them pushed back in. So we'll go ahead and do that. We've already got the lower LCD detached. And go ahead and stand this up. You're going to need to use your X-Acto blade to go ahead and lift off the 4 sticker pads that cover the 4 screws of the upper LCD case. There we go. And then you have 4 Phillips head screws that hold the upper LCD case together. So go ahead and remove all 4 screws. And before we open that, the ribbon cable and the Wi-Fi antenna cable there's a slot in the system that you just go ahead and slide everything through. And as always, just be careful with your ribbon cable. You got to kind of pull it out in kind of a diagonal fashion. So now that we have this removed, you can see we have our broken hinges. That'll just give us more room to work with. To open the upper LCD half, you can either use your fingernail or a small flathead screwdriver. You start on one side and you lift it until it opens up. There we go. And then you can just slide around with your fingernail all the way around the sides. Sometimes they're a little more ornery, but it will just come apart. There's nothing attached on the inside. If this piece falls out, you do want to make sure that you insert it back into the unit. You don't want to lose that. That kind of holds your upper LCD screen in place. So with the upper half exposed, you're just going to push your two hinges inwards. You don't have to remove them, but you want them clear of this space that we're working with here. So you can either use your screwdriver, tweezers, essentially anything to push. If it pops out, just go ahead and put it back in. Sometimes they are a little bit of a pain. There we go. Now we're ready to bring in the new lower half of the unit. I've already gone ahead and put the game pads on. When you do get a new shell kit, sometimes you'll want to use your X-Acto blade, hobby knife to trim off small excesses of plastic on the side. That'll keep it from seating properly, and that's just from the process they use to make them. So we're going to go ahead, flip this over, and set our unit on, and then we'll just pop the hinges back into place, and that locks the two halves together. And when you feed the ribbon cable through, it's important to get it through the right way. If you don't send it through the right way, then it'll be twisted and your unit won't work for very long. So when you put it through, you're going to want to make sure you have your cable rolled in this fashion if you're replacing the cable. And you send it through just like this. You send through the wide end first. And that allows it to all fit in much more easily and smoothly. The wrong side. These are tricky because they are flipped around in a certain fashion. There we go. Alright. Now we have the lower shell pulled through. Like I said, it is tricky.